You got to redo this.
So Ray is a hoe. Change my mind. Just kidding.
I mean,
Dear Lord.
Wow.
Well, that's on the stream.
And that's why, it works now. We're live now.
Ray is
I
a
say
hoe,
all
guys.
Jedi's are not supposed to have sex, so there's a theory that Luke died a virgin.
Oh,
I don't.
that's a Pepe hands.
Well, because
I
you
mean,
gotta
they
think
say
about it.
that,
But even before he joined, he had to try to like meet women by telling them he was a moisture farmer. He farmed moist.
that's a pickup line if I've ever heard one. Like, that's no better than the shit we hear today.
If
So
that doesn't,
Honestly, sign me up.
that doesn't just wet your loins, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, literally.
Wrong. Yeah, you know.
Anyway, this is a very odd beginning to the stream.
Somehow more odd than the first time we did this.
Should we reintroduce ourselves?
Yeah, we
I
are.
wanted to reestablish the fact that this is not family friendly anymore.
Yeah, we've
The tag
thrown
has
that
been
out
off
the
for
window.
about a
I
couple
tried, but I
months.
can't corral these people anymore. Guys, welcome on in. This is the Valhalla's Most Wanted podcast where we mess up and we start twice. My name is PlatinumTrophyWife, and with me I have.
I'm Grey Wolves Gaming, currently Grey Cat Gaming,
Yes.
and this cat is like out.
She's
Yeah.
adorable.
Aww.
Aww.
Can this just be the podcast today?
Yeah, I just honestly want to look at the
pretty much.
webcam. I just want to look at the cat,
That's
honestly.
so cute. Well, and we
cutie.
know that if you add cats, it automatically makes everything more interesting.
No,
Yeah, that's
100%.
True.
Just look at the ears.
And so you guys missed it, but Richie like rattled on for like this Star Wars rant for like 45 seconds as we
Bruh,
started.
caveman DNA started coming back up, and I was like, "This movie is shitty." And I'm just like,
Caveman
dude, like,
DNA about a movie?
Yeah, dude,
Richie,
like, full
please.
body.
Cavemen were really big in the
Big
movies.
caveman energy.
I took
It was a
gardening
booming
hose out.
industry back in the days.
And
I was
Switching
talking to my other
insurances.
cave bros, and I was like, "Yo, dude, this was garbage. This was buns, man. I'm eating all this wheat today by myself. I'm angry, dude. I'm angry eating." I got out of that movie. I kicked the popcorn bag, and I was like, "Ooh, no, that was bad."
Anyway, what's your name?
Hi, RicheyPlays.
Smile.
Smile. How
and
you
our
doing?
other guest who is being very kind and patient.
Oh yeah. Hi, it's me, Wames _ insert spiel about another Wames Warframe on iPhone. Hi guys. It's me.
Follow that person as well, but make
Yeah.
sure you double follow Wames _. Actually, triple follow, because then if you press it
Yeah.
3 times, you'll be followed.
Just
Yeah,
sub to
there you go.
him, lol.
Just give me money.
Just have it and then give it to me. It's easy.
Don't give me money, but what you should do is give money to the kids. Charity.
Yes, for the kids.
Smile.
Hashtag.
Big smile.
Hashtag. Big,
You put the link in
big
chat.
cat.
Thank
That
you.
does
Okay.
remind me. You do you have something to talk about? A
I
particular.
do. Do we want to start with
Absolutely.
that?
Sell
I
out.
mean, it's
Sell
a
out.
good
You want to
transition.
sell out? I will
Sell out.
sell out for the kids
Sell
any
Go
freaking day.
ahead.
So if you guys didn't know, I am planning to do a charity stream on the 25th of May. Another 12-hour as like the one we did last year, July 20th. And it'll be 12 hours. It'll have a lot of interesting things. It'll be even better, bigger and better than last year's.
Wow.
I
think that's
have
impossible.
I have a lot of things planned for it, and it's gonna be fun. And we started raising money already. I figured we would start raising money early, and I set a pre-goal of $500. And if we got $500 before the charity stream started, I would add a Twitch Sings block to the end of my charity stream. And funny enough, last Thursday, no wait, was it Thursday? It was Friday. Last Friday, we actually managed to get to $505 raised for St. Jude. So we will be adding Twitch Sings to the end of my charity live stream next week.
Well done. That's
So if anything, give the money to the kids. I will sell out so hard for the kids.
What's the date and time again? Remind everyone.
May 25th at 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Twitch.tv/Winston.
I love it.
I know the cat is like
I love
perfectly.
the cat. Stare into my soul. I'm allergic to you, but I want to pet you right now.
Nope. Now it's
Get over
bedtime.
here.
She's like,
Oh.
oh.
Oh, we
God.
can't.
Snuggles, rage. Give her snuggles.
Please.
Oh, it's so cute.
I'm just gonna
That's
be
it.
hypnotized. I don't even want to talk about
I know.
anything.
I'm just like,
This
I'm
is,
just
this is a
staring
bad
at
idea.
that.
Should I not be doing?
No, it's a
No,
good
this is
idea,
perfect.
except for the
This is
dog
going to be
lovers
the
who are like, "What
greatest
the
podcast."
fuck is this?"
I want to move it over center a little. There we go.
first
There we
ever
go.
cat on podcast. Never before done.
We'll
So
call it a
cute.
podcast.
Podcast. Oh my God.
All
There it
right,
is.
we're out.
We're
Hey,
done.
later.
Right,
Fun.
so to re-enlighten chat, what brought up Star Wars is we were talking about if Avengers beat top grossing movies of all time, either
Yes.
domestic or world, and it's taken second place in both.
Yes.
It's second place to Star Wars Force Awakens and domestically, 780 million versus 936 million, and it is second to Titanic globally, to 2.56 billion compared to 2.78 billion.
Do you mean Avatar?
No, I beat Avatar, and it's now in second place.
But no,
Titanic-
we're talking about all time though.
Yeah, Titanic is globally the number one, and Force Awakens is domestically the number one. Avatar was number two in both.
Really? Avatar never beat
Yeah.
Titanic? I thought Avatar was number one. That was the whole point.
Was it number one in the U.S.?
Sorry, you're right. I'm misquoting the worldwide
Other way
one.
around.
Sorry.
They beat Titanic. They need to beat Avatar.
Yes,
Okay,
but
Oh, got it.
locally they beat Avatar. Need to beat Star Wars.
got it.
But what about Titanic 2?
Yes. That's true. I blew
Titanic
Richie's
2: The Search for
mind.
Mo Money.
Yeah, there was a Titanic 2. It was like a direct-to-TV sequel, and it had nothing to do with anything except it was another boat called Titanic
was
that
another
also
boat.
sank.
Because that's a smart
Let's
idea.
not
Just like
educate the
name it.
people on
Yeah.
that movie.
I actually
Outta
believe
here.
there's been more than one like attempted replica of the Titanic, and I don't think any has
Yeah.
ever worked.
Yeah, it's
Just
like
don't do it,
Macbeth, where you
forehead.
like just shouldn't do it. It's just like cursed.
Just don't do it.
One thing I did, one thing that was posed, a question I saw on whatever forum, maybe in Twitch too, was that even if Endgame beats out and goes number one global, is it fair to compare it to what was it, Avatar? Because it took, it was accumulation of so many movies, and then it had to, release as to where
Yes.
Avatar was just one. What do you guys think about that?
Yes, because
Uh,
Avatar took 10 years to make.
I
Okay.
still feel like Endgame's win is more substantial, more impactful to me because it took so many years and so many movies to build up to this moment, and to be able to deliver
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
way that it did. Like all you Game of Thrones fans who are like sour as hell about how this has culminated to. Now imagine that. Now remember, Endgame pulled it off.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
That's true.
Avatar, as a story, like if you honestly look at it, is just kind of meh. But
Mhm.
what it did technologically was amazing, and that's why like it hit so hard.
Right.
it
so
was
hit.
like one of the
they
first
both
big
made
3D
history,
films.
which is
Yeah.
interesting. That the both of them are like making history because, like you said,
Mhm.
Avatar technologically was crazy, and it's still. I would say the one thing I liked about Avatar, because I really didn't like that movie, the one thing I did like was the experience of watching it in 3D in the theater.
Yeah.
That was really cool because it was
Yeah.
the only 3D movie that like made sense to be in 3D.
It also
Yeah,
was
for sure.
filmed in 3D, where a lot of movies nowadays that are out in 3D that are live action aren't always filmed in 3D.
They're
It's
converted.
digitally made. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it still feels weird when you watch those compared to Avatar, where it felt much more natural.
But I've even felt
Yeah.
like since then movies have been made in 3D and it's still like
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Mhm.
I'll never forget going to see, like, I think it was like Clash of the Titans with my dad, and it was he loved the 3D stuff. He's all about it, and like he enjoyed it. But I was like, this is not on the level of Avatar.
But was
This is
Clash
not
of
on
the
the
Titans
level of-
filmed in 3D?
See, I don't know. I have no idea. But I think to everyone's credit, when it's anything 3D, it still kind of has the benchmark of being like, they never gave me a headache. I actually saw it with Totes when I went to Wisconsin
Yeah.
to go see him. I'll never forget it because it was the first 3D movie that like I could watch with my glasses on top of glasses.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, this isn't hurting my eyes. I'm not having a
Mm.
headache or I'm not dizzy. And so I think I agree with all you. It's like the feat of Endgame being such a huge accumulation of things and then having it be so successful
Right.
is like, you can't put an asterisk next to its success being like, well, this took this many movies and it was tied in with these so many other ones. Because not only with that, but it's like, I take like the Thor trilogy and like the Captain America trilogy as like their own kind of individual stories because you don't really see a whole heck of a lot of that impact like kind of come together in only very specific ways. So it's like Endgame did such a great job of connecting it all and being like, the love letter to the fans of being like, here
Right.
you go, you watched it all. And Avatar did a great thing like with this technology. So I felt like it was like a little bit of an unfair comparison. but I just was super curious to see what you guys heard because I heard that
Well-
like 2 days ago, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I mean, I see what they're saying, but I'm like, no.
I don't think it's an unfair comparison. You just have to be able to distinguish the different aspects to them.
Right.
Like you can
Different
compare any two things. It's just if you frame it in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be like, all right, between Avatar and Endgame, who had the better blue people?
Yeah.
Like that's such a weird
Mm.
thing to compare. Like, but you can still look at it as in its own personal achievement and how
Nebula
it got
wins.
to its stop.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
how did it?
Nebula
How
in
did,
there.
which do you think?
Nebula's
What do you
Bay.
appreciate more?
Yeah.
But you gotta think
It's
about
true.
it. Marvel. I feel like maybe Marvel has like a lot of hype around it because it's freaking Marvel,
Right.
and they got like comics, they got everything. There's already a huge fan base around all that sorts of stuff. So if you compare the Marvel universe, like any of those Marvel universe movies, versus like Avatar, who I'm not too well versed in the whole. If there's like stuff before
no,
that,
it's
like
original IP. It was
It's
original
all
story.
original, yeah.
so like as an original IP, that's pretty freaking good compared to Marvel
Yeah.
having these years and years and years of fan build up.
Right.
Like they have people everywhere.
Yeah.
Although I
It's
would
like-
argue that 75% of the people had never read a comic before the movies.
That's true.
And yet they still
Yeah.
got invested because they're good
Right.
stories. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why they're being adapted because they're really good stories. But I would say, yeah, there's like a little bit of fan base who's like, I read the comics when I was 12 and like now I'm really here and oh my god. But like I would say most of the fan base is probably getting into comics because of the movies and not
Because
the
of
other
the
way
movies.
around.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think you have to really see it as two different mountains of success that they both kind of reach on their own merit. Because I just thought of this too. Like it's been 10 and a half years since Avatar came out. And as you know, he's filming all the rest of them like now. Like he's going through it all now.
Yeah,
Can you imagine
they were supposed to be
if-
released any number of years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago. But can you imagine, if he does that to the same level of success as the original Avatar, like that's
I don't
that's
think it
its
will.
own. I don't think it will either. But
Yeah.
for some whatever reason, if it's just all master telling and everything,
Yeah.
like that in itself is its own version of success, and in itself had that 10-year gap of build up and creation and everything and breakthrough
Yeah.
technology here and there. So
Yeah.
it's like I didn't think it was a super duper fair comparison, but I did see that because I was like, well, how many people really came in from all these individual movies and was just like, I'm only here because it was this guy or that guy. It was like, I
Yeah.
don't know. You had to make such an amazing amount of movies beforehand for people to even care about this and to come out here and to break the record. So
Well, because
I
I
thought-
feel like you were fighting so many different things. Like Avatar didn't have nearly as many obstacles as
Mhm.
this last Marvel movie. They had to satisfy the general public. Of course, there's always going to be that one person who's like, I hated it.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, people were extremely satisfied. And that, especially with 21 movies beforehand, that's really, really hard to do. So there's an obstacle right there, is you have to satisfy the fan base. Second of all, you have to get people to not be fatigued on superhero movies, which is not even just your franchise. That's Batman,
general.
that's DC,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's, even if you want to pull in like how they were going to do the Monster World franchise, like they tried to do that. So like everyone's trying to make this franchise where movies are all like together now.
Apparently,
Mm.
Detective Pikachu is supposed to open up a
The Smash
Pokemon
franchise?
world. Yeah.
No, it's
Wait,
the
is
Smash
that real
franchise.
or is that a joke?
Yeah,
I thought that was a
that's
meme.
what I've heard. I heard that it was legit supposed to open up a Pokemon cinematic universe.
Well, there you go. So you have that obstacle as well as people like copying you, and people might just get fatigued about this whole franchise business. And and then you have to have now you have the obstacles of like continuing to build stakes, which is Richie's biggest thing. Like he said after this movie, he's like, now there's no stakes, which I
Right.
don't agree with, but I bet a lot of people feel the same way, kind of thing. And so
Right.
I feel like Marvel was also fighting all these different obstacles where Avatar was its own thing. I mean, you could say, oh, well, it was these 3 movies, Dances with Wolves, like the other
Pocahontas.
ones.
Fern Gully.
Fern Gully, that's where it was. It was Fern Gully, Dances with Wolves, and there was like one other one that it's like, it's this movie. It's not even like original. But But the hero's
Yeah.
journey, no movie's original, so what the fuck, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident that Avatar 2 is not going to do well just because of apathy. I think it's taken too long. The excitement has come and gone.
Right. I feel I can kind of buy into that because it's like you're gonna have to. I think what it's gonna have to be, it's gonna have to be its own. It's gonna have to be Avatar again, right? In a sense that it's all boom, brand new story, brand new stakes, brand new everything kind of thing.
Yeah, but
And,
they're
like,
not. It's all like
Right, but for me, if I'm gonna feel like I am familiar with what's going on and I'm going to care, but it's been so long, it's kind of like it's like kind of loops perfectly. It's like Kratos, you know what I mean? It's like you have to take something that you kind of know, but then you have to bring in like so many different things, like a new world, a new factor. I'm not saying they're gonna go to a new planet or
Right.
whichever, but it's like you have to
They're
kind of
red
make me
this
feel
time.
like this is a new chapter, right? Yeah, they're red this time.
It's a new alien
It's just
species.
Avatar, but they're red.
wait, is that going to make the third one green? That way we have
Mhm.
red, green, blue.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh man, the cycle, dude.
The green one is gonna be about Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, dude, Planet Namek
Namekians?
confirmed. Hell yeah, Piccolo's gonna be an avatar.
That's what I
You
want
heard
with
it here
Piccolo. What I do have,
I kind of agree.
I can commend them though for waiting only because now they have, which I think is ridiculous, but I do commend them for having Avatar 2 through 5 scripts done.
Oh, 5. Okay, I thought that was
Yes.
gonna be 4 total. Okay.
No, there's 5 total. They've written 4 scripts now. And so they have Avatar 2 through Avatar 5. I remember there was like this tweet a long time ago that was like, now that Avatar 5 scripts is done, we can start shooting Avatar 2. And I was just like, what?
So,
But I do
I mean,
commend them for
that's-
doing that because now we know there's going to be like a full story, like with a beginning,
I mean,
middle, and end.
like Lord of the Rings did that. It filmed
I
all 3
was just
movies
gonna
in one
say-
2-year span. Like it
Mhm.
just filmed straight for 2 years and knocked out all 3 movies.
Right.
I was
Like it
gonna
didn't
say,
break.
so that to me kind of excites me in the realm of
Yeah, but they
again one
also
of my
have, like,
biggest things.
Literature.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you got a point there too. That excites me in the sense of pacing, because that's
Right.
the one thing that always, like, to me, it's like when you cheapen a scene by just like jumping forward to something, or you reduce the emotional impact of something. You know, I'm just like, all right, well, you know, I kind of wanted to see how people react to this or feel about this, and that's why I loved Endgame's. Like the introduction to Endgame was amazing to me because you got to see all of that. You got to see what happened to the regular people a little bit, and to enough to a point where I felt satisfied, where it was like I see the world and I see what happened to more than just the characters that I care about. That's awesome.
Mhm.
So when Avatar is, when they do that, I mean, you know, I hope that it can again, like I hope 2, 3, and 4 do well enough for us to finish it out.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like that has to be such a, again, talking about, you know, the comparison, that has to be such a mountain to climb. Like how in the world, how do you do that? How do you plan that out? You know, how do you
Yeah,
do
I
all
can't even
this?
imagine what they're gonna make 5 movies about. There's this planet, it has a rare resource on it. People want it. He joined the natives, fought them away. Are we gonna have 4 more movies of just warring over this? Is
I
it
was
gonna
thinking
turn
about
into
that as
political
well.
movies where we're just gonna watch like them join the Senate and debate for a full movie? Like
I don't
what's
think
gonna
so.
happen?
Glorians does
Turning
he
into
have?
Game of
Well,
Thrones.
I mean, he has this whole world to explore, so I don't know if it really will be very similar to the first one or not.
But
Do you think
I don't
it'll
know
be
what's
a reboot?
I don't know what's to explore
No, not a reboot.
though.
I'm just there's more to the world, so why can't
Right.
it be about anything really?
I guess maybe that's the exciting thing, being like we don't know what's next.
Exactly.
We don't know
I'm
what
actually-
the big bad's gonna be. Like what sort of challenges are they gonna face? Are they even gonna focus?
It
Do we
was the
know if they're gonna
general, the
focus on the
next
challenges
guys-
of like the main cast, or are we like moving like
Yeah.
maybe like a different person's story in like a similar sort of scenario where they like, all right, I'm gonna join these people. I actually like these people.
The
Is
only
it-
problem I have with that is from a certain standpoint, there's no one to represent the audience or the audience to necessarily identify with because there's no humans.
Well,
this
I think
point.
it's still going to be
So if
Jake
it's just-
Sully, though, right?
Well, yeah, but his body's gone. He's not human anymore.
Yeah, but he's our human.
He's our
But-
Yeah.
He's a human in our heart.
After the span of 4 more movies, though, it might feel like he's less that and more of the
like,
Avatar.
I-
So
I
They'll
just-
I
still
understand
be
that.
human characters.
Right.
I know. You could be right, but at the moment, I can't imagine anything that they could do that would interest me anymore.
Oh, I'm definitely
unless-
not interested, but
It's for so whatever it is, it's just like a film, like what's what I'm looking for, like I don't know, it's just like how can you do this 10 years off, not off, but you know what I mean, the 10 years
Yeah.
of planning this whole thing,
Mhm.
and like in which the movie, if Avatar had like brought in so many like lore bound things and expanded the world in such a huge, like a bigger way, where it was like, you know, we are just one planet of this solar system that had, I would be like, you're giving me the idea of what you're trying to explore here. I understand it. I can get behind it, but it's like it's an enigma. That's the word I was looking for. An enigma of like movie telling, because it's like, okay, you know, what in the world are you thinking? How are you feeling? How are you doing this in a way that it's this expansive? You know what I mean?
Mm.
yeah.
And you know, I know he's invested, I mean, countless time, but like money, his own money and everything, into like researching and developing things that like nothing has ever been shot like before, because you see all the underwater shots that he's doing and all like the technology that he's invested in to create something that I guess he's like very, very passionate about, apparently.
Well,
But
he's
it's like,
like
what
I
what is
said,
it?
he's had this world in his head for 10 years, even before the first Avatar came out. And the only reason why it took so long is
gotta wait for
because he wanted to wait for the technology to catch up to his idea.
Mhm.
And then and that's why it's called Avatar and not something that makes sense like fucking Pandora or something, because he wanted Avatar for some reason, and that's why The Last Airbender isn't called Avatar, even though the show is called Avatar, which really pisses me off.
All right, question for you guys. Any franchise, whether it's one movie or 4 movies, that just stopped, what would you like to see continued?
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Give me a second to think about
Yeah.
that one.
Wait,
It
what's
could
the
be out of
question?
left
I got
field.
confused.
Any franchise, whether it was 1 movie or 3, that is done, that has
Oh.
stopped,
Okay.
that you would like to see continue.
Okay.
Like the movie that made me think of this question, and I don't know if it would be my number 1, but it's definitely a movie I always wanted to see a sequel to, is sequel to District 9.
Okay.
Oh
Now-
yeah, I thought that sequel was gonna happen in 9 years, because he was like, "Wait for me, 9 years, I'll come back."
Yeah, whatever the number is coming past. It was like 4 or 7 or 9.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, that's when the sequel's coming out. We're gonna wait 9 years," and then
District
it was like,
18.
nah.
Like
I'm
I
not
always wanted
doing
to see that. I really enjoyed that movie with the aliens on Earth, like in refugee camps, and the guy like is slowly becoming one. He's trying to help them. Like I really enjoyed that movie, and I wanted to see a sequel. Like I wanted to see.
Yeah, I was waiting too.
So like I'm sure if I took time, I could try to think of other ones. But that was the first one that came to my mind. Is District 9. I would love to see a second one too.
I'm trying to think of a franchise that I'm like, this
Oh, I
needs
got one.
more. Usually
Oh, do you-
franchises go too long, and you're just like, stop.
That was
Stop."
my first feeling. I was like, no,
I
stop,
was
stop doing
content,
this.
but you kept on going.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. It
No,
could be
I'm
one
not.
or it could be several.
Right.
But like that, if it was one that you wish there was a franchise of, or if there was a franchise you wish it had continued.
Right.
Hancock. Definitely.
Really?
Hancock. Absolutely. Loved it. I loved it. I thought it was it was
I
it was
love
a
both of Wolves
superhero.
and I were just like, what?
Yeah. Okay, so we got to frame this, right? We got to put this in perspective. This movie came out in, I believe, 2007, 2008. Like 2000, it was like my going into like my high school year. I know, and that was like 09, maybe 2008, I think at like earliest. But this is before like, you know, Iron Man 2, 3, like all the big names were coming out. And cat.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Oh my goodness. I love the movie. I love what they do with it, because they took heroes as a mythology and they made them like, so like there was a line in the movie that she was like, they called us gods, they called us emperors, and now they call us heroes. And I was like, wait a minute, that's so cool. Like, can you imagine these superheroes in like the Roman period, or you can imagine them in like Europe when the plague was going through, and like how they survived this. And it was like you took something that was like I hate to compare it to this, but it was like Transformers-esque, where it was like, yeah, the Transformers were responsible for the Merlin staff, or you know, this thing, and like these very important ancient historical artifacts.
Right.
And it was like you took that and you made that superhero. And not only that, but like back then, of course, I was like 13, 14. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Number one, Will Smith is my boy. Number two, he was a superhero who didn't care, and he was struggling with this identity of not fitting in, being the only one, being lonely, being ousted, hated, and he kind of had to struggle and come through and get on terms of being like, this is who I am, this is what I gotta do. But it was just so it was so interesting to me. It had a very small glimpse of mythology behind it that I really thought would have been amazing. And Hancock is definitely one. And if I had to say like a quick second one, it would be an actual Hellboy 3 sequel with Ron Perlman. I would say those two are the ones that pop into my mind.
I am 100% back behind you in terms of Hellboy. Hancock, I don't know. I mean, I guess the second one could redeem some of the problems I had with the first one, so I'd be interested. Like, it wasn't so bad that I wouldn't be willing to watch a second one. I just don't know if it would make my list.
Yeah.
Right.
I never.
They were like, "We're doing Hancock too." I'm like, "All right, I'll watch that." Like, I want to see what they do. Like, I will admit, there's enough there that piqued my curiosity with the two. But
right.
Didn't the Hellboy remake come out?
And bombed.
It did. Okay, I was gonna say because I heard like, oh yeah, they were like bringing back like, oh cool, Hellboy's back. I didn't realize that it came out because I didn't hear anything about it.
It bombed. Big
Which
time.
I really like David Harbour. I thought he was a pretty darn good fit if anyone's gonna have to reboot it. But like Ron Perlman has been fighting for a Hellboy 3 to finish it for the fans for years.
Yeah,
and they were just kind of like, nah, reboot, and then the reboot would it just went right down. And I was like, oh boy, all right. Which is sad, but yeah, those are my two right there.
All right, Wames, Platinum, what do you got?
Oh god, I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, and this is just personal.
Don't worry, I'll hate you.
Thanks. I want to see another Warcraft movie. I know not a lot of people liked it, and it was like, oh, it didn't, play true to the game or any of that. But I was like, it hit me in the nostalgia, and I'm like, I want more of it. I liked it.
I liked it too. I thought it was just like, it's like this run-of-the-mill, silly, high fantasy, and so like it's hard to, justify.
You gotta turn your brain off, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, just because it's super high fantasy and like supernatural.
Who's this?
TV.
Who is this character?
Sorry, guys. Got left. You're back to my less appealing face.
That was
not
the stream.
what
See you later.
It's not what I signed up for. I'm done.
Unbelievable. All right, now I gotta find your name. Hold on.
All right, so you're going with Warcraft. That's the one you.
Yeah, it was a nice.
There we go.
Like, I didn't look at it and be like, all right, that wasn't happened in the movie. That's not what happened. But what I was looking at is like, oh, I remember that. Like that is Warcraft. Like they had this scene where they were like walking through Elwyn Forest, and all of a sudden you hear Murloc noise, and you're just like, yeah, that's the thing. It made the noise. I'm just like, hell yes.
Yeah. So, I know my point. So, like, supernatural shows also, like, fall in line with this, where it's like, because it's this high fantasy, because it's supernatural, you get these situations where you're like, this is dumb if I were to say this to somebody who wasn't watching this. Like, like even like Twilight falls in line with this, where it's like, in the book, it's like this humanoid person bears his fangs at another person. Like, that's such a stupid idea visually, and like in your head, you're just like, that's so stupid. But like, because it's supernatural, like that's kind of like where it falls into. And I feel like high fantasy movies also do the same thing. They have these really, because they take themselves so seriously, right? Because it's a fantasy. This is the world. We're not going to make jokes about how there's green and blue people because this is the world. So everyone's treated like real, like super seriously. And therefore our average viewer just goes, this is stupid. Like, this is dumb.
Which is what Marvel did well, is they started off with relatively mundane and worked them way up to more fantastical.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
And therefore, by the time we got to Guardians of the Galaxy, we're like, oh, a talking raccoon, let's go! Like, this is so serious. Like,
I found one in my trash can once. It wasn't talking, though.
So,
I don't know what it was saying, but it was pissed.
And so, I think that's why high fantasy movies are really, really hard to pull off. And I thought Warcraft actually did a really good job of, like kind of playing the line a little bit and just being like, just taking it as it is. And they're like, yeah, we have these people with giant tusks and we have like this knight, on horses in an elven forest, and like
Yeah.
they're just like, this isn't. I felt like they didn't really try to even cater to people who didn't play the game, and I was like, good on you. Who cares about them? They're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, just be the people who play like the game, and and that's why the Murgle Gurgle was the best part of the whole film.
Yeah, like I like. Okay, so literally in the theater of my when I remember watching it when they everyone heard the Murloc noise, everyone was just like, yeah, freaking Murlocs. I remember that. It was
I've never
great.
had a cool
I
movie
loved
theater
it.
like that.
Exactly. Like, it was
And-
just fun, and it's one of those things where you just kind of let the plot wash over you, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like they have the orcs, and they're like, oh, they're orcs, they're bad guys. But like, wait a minute, some of these orcs don't like this whole like they're doing the invasion thing. Like, I don't think this is right. They're just trying to live their life. So then there's like the orcs that are like, I want to kill everyone. But then there's also the orcs that are like, I want to just keep my family alive.
Yeah.
And I just, and then the humans are just like, they're all evil. We gotta exterminate all of them. And then they have that sort of like mix and flow, and realizing that, oh wait, not all of them are, bloodthirsty
Right.
warmongers.
And so I would argue that like the Dark Knight trilogy and Marvel has now put into perspective that superhero films can be good. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it started with X-Men, but like, these are you could like go back to Blade Runner, I think, or whatever, but like, or Blade, I mean, but like, these are, now they can be big blockbuster movies and like
benchmarks.
satisfying to the general public.
Yeah.
And now I think we need that transition into video game movies, because video game movies and superhero films were very much of like the same caliber. They're like, it doesn't work. People keep trying and it doesn't
Right.
work. And so what do you think is like, what is going to be the transition movie to get us to be like the big,
So
blockbuster movie for video games?
I got two things, and I'll let it go to Richie, who already has an answer. Two things. One,
I didn't.
in comment to what you made earlier about like there's certain things in fantasy, like when it describes it, it seems lame to the average person. Then you brought up X-Men. When Hugh Jackman got the script for Wolverine,
yes,
like, he didn't know who Wolverine was. His wife didn't know who Wolverine is, and she's looking at the script, and he says she's like, and then his claws come out of his hand, shtick, or something like that. And then she's like there's like it just writes a noise effect, and she's like, don't take this movie, like, because she's reading it, and it just sounds so lame. It's just like, and the claws
so
went
lame.
shing. So, but I will say this: the reason I think video games will have a harder time making a successful transition to movies than comics did, and it took them forever, is sometimes the stories that hook you in video games is because you are the character.
Yes.
Even if like Last of Us, even though he has his own identity, you still play as him. You still are living his identity with him.
Yes.
And movies, even if he's the main character, there's still a disconnect. You still feel like a third party watching, and where in a video game, you are the person controlling.
Sure.
So you can have these amazing stories, and they'll hook you much better because of that aspect.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point. I do think they can do it, though. It's just going to take time and like the right movie. Like, it's going to, and that's where I brought it up, because Warcraft, though it didn't do well and there was like a fan base that did like it. And I think it's one of those movies that it's like, okay, this is the transition. I think, after a while we'll go back and be like, yeah, Warcraft was like the beginning of, said transition or whatever.
Right.
But yeah.
I don't think I have an answer as to like what like franchise could bring it and like transcend that line, because you have to take, I believe if you're going to have a successful video game movie, you have to have an overwhelmingly successful video game, either franchise or single game. And I think for me, and I can't answer that one, but what I can answer is how. And I think the best way is to create something that doesn't feel like a video game, truthfully, because you can't have a movie that has obviously the buttons come up, or like some of the silly things that video games can get away with, like running into a wall, or just like it's just like all
just
that
auto running into a wall. Just
Right.
like...
if you remember the Doom movie, it had a first person shooter sequence.
Yeah, and like
The Doom movie to me is one of the few movies that was so bad it was good.
Right. And so I don't know, like, to me, honestly, I think Tomb Raider could have been one, because Tomb Raider is grounded in a way that, you know, it's realistic in the sense that, like, okay, the locations that you're going to aren't real, but, like, you know, you're going out to go raid this village and you have to deal with very human issues and you have a very human past and you have, you know, I think that when it comes to, like, Tomb Raider, it's been very much the same-ish kind of formula, and people are just, you know, I know what to expect, and it's like, it's hard because at that point it's like, how do you change this in a way that's so interesting, like God of War did, but it's still very much the same kind of thing. And so, if I guess my answer to that directly would be God of War, because of the story that they told in the last one was was a story that anybody could connect to, because it's father and son. And even if you don't have a father figure in your life, you could see maybe your perspective of what it could be,
like
or
mentor and
or if you have someone who you was very close to you as a mentor, you could see Kratos as that, and you could project that, and then you put him in a world where I would argue that Norse mythology is a little bit more popular than it's Greek mythology.
Well, especially now with Marvel.
Especially now. So if you were to incorporate that, you know, I don't know how you would be able to do it without kind of directly copying and pasting from the game over to a movie. But I think there are much more there are more artistic things you can do in a movie that you can't do in a video game. You know what I mean? Because you can have the cinematics in a game, but essentially it's an entire cinematic. And so you can bring it to a very real world perspective. So I guess it would be God of War is the answer, but if they're going to do anything, if anything's going to transcend that line, it's going to have to be something that the general public can understand. It's like overwhelming, like something that everyone has to be able to go through, or it's just that interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I don't know what franchises even come out before Tomb Raider that, like, I've even tried, other than, I mean, Warcraft, but it's like, I don't see anyone even trying to go to that line.
Can you imagine if they tried to pull a Black Mirror in the movie theaters with a movie where, like, you have a choice? Because it was kind of happened to the chat. Can you imagine, like, everyone has a button on the left and right hand of the seat, and, like, you're watching Mass Effect, and an option for a good path or bad path, and everyone in the audience votes whatever has the most. So, like, you're watching the movie.
Why'd you flip
You're watching, like, the scene in Mass Effect where, like, the reporter comes up to him and you have good or bad, and, like, enough people have bad, and just decks the reporter, and everyone in the audience is like, "Oh shit!" Like,
I think that'd be funny. I think that kind of stuff would, like, work in a comedy movie, but I would absolutely hate that in any movie if it was just like, you get to choose. It's like, no, tell me a story. Tell me what you want. You know,
I
just
would love one movie to do that. That's it. Just so we can get it out of our system and be like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I did like your go ahead.
No, just go.
For Tomb Raider, or even on, like, an Uncharted game, because they all, like, each game has, like, the same formula.
I think Uncharted would work much better than Tomb Raider, because Tomb Raider still has the background of dinosaurs and weird things.
Yeah, but you don't have to go that way. That's no problem. Like, the reboot series didn't have any dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I wasn't complaining. So.
But at the same time, we do have them. Outside of the fact that there's been a couple Tomb Raiders, you have Sahara, you have National Treasure, those are all versions of Uncharted.
Oh yeah, so that was, like, where it could work. I was that's what I was thinking. Like, and my big thing is, because it is a video game series where it's like Tomb Raider and Uncharted are so similar, so I'm just kind of saying them as one. Like, they have, like, the same formula of, like, person goes out, they go to find something or their treasure, which turns out to be supernatural, and then they have to save the world. And so they can take that formula and, like, they don't have to do the Uncharted movie is the Uncharted first game. You know, like, they can actually just make it completely separate, but just the same characters continuing on an adventure. And I think that's, like, where because I was really excited for the Tomb Raider movie. I was like, this could work, because you have a full-fledged character with a past, with, like, an interesting story. But it's like they tried to do, like, the first Tomb Raider game, and I was like, you don't have to do the same beats of the first Tomb Raider game. Like, just have the character, and your character is written. Now, like, write something new. You know? And have her dueling pistols, god damn it. Like, what is with that?
I guess that's the thing, because, like, for a lot of these video game movies, people who are like judging it are basically like, oh, that didn't happen in the game. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not what it's like in the game.
Yeah.
So that's like a lot of the thing. Sonic live action.
Yeah. You have to
think-
balance that.
I
like, the
forgot that we
reference-
have a a real like video game movie right now
Right.
happening.
I think that answers kind of your question too about like how they fail so much, because it's like, how many references do you put in before it's just a fan service movie? How many
Mhm.
references do you not, like, what don't you put in to make it its own story? And to backpack on what you were saying too, Uncharted would be a great idea for a movie, because he is a character that's pretty much widely liked and widely
Yeah.
known, and you could I don't want to say easily, but you could find a way to make him feel like a person, right? You have a great introduction to his character, you go through the whatever else happens, but as long as the people feel like, I know this was based off of a video game, it'll do two things. It'll make you money when they purchase the game or purchase a ticket for the movie, and then they'll want to go play the games, because you're essentially able to reach a different audience.
Like,
if
speaking
they
of
don't,
Uncharted, if they did make a movie, which is such a shame they didn't make one when Nathan Fillion was younger, because he was so perfectly
he was into it.
Oh,
Nate.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's him.
Yep.
It's
him.
him.
I mean, I still think he could do it. I just think he would probably need to lose a little weight. Like, I'm fine. Like, he's in the show The
I think
Rookie,
too old.
and I like him in that show. Like, he
Yeah,
plays
he's
a
pretty
rookie
good.
cop in his 40s, and I like the show. He's really good. He does a lot of action, but his physique, everything is perfect for that. I think he does. I love him in that. But if he was to take on the role of Nathan Drake, I think his age is fine. I think he would just need to lose some weight.
Right. I had to jump in one more time too. I got real excited when I read chat too. The Mass Effect trilogy. Holy crap. That is one video game movie that I would just lose my mind if I saw, because I will, if you ever catch me live, you will always, every game that I play, I will compare to the storytelling of Mass Effect 3, in the fact that the entire time I'm playing that game, you are constantly reminded of the main threat, the main overarching story. You know, you are at the culmination of all the relationships that you've ever made in the entire series, and you are
Make
just
sure to choose the
constantly
right color.
Yep. Which, I mean, I hated that ending at the original one, but the second one was fine. But it was like, yeah, no, absolutely. Mass Effect would be one that if they said, yeah, we're going to make a story based off the trilogy, and it ended with, like, you know, the Reapers and everything, and like you kind of already know, done, sold, because it's a character that I love. It's an ending that I thought was great.
But didn't
and
that game
you
have
could
like
do
a
it.
lot of choices?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, so
No.
I mean, yes,
No.
you did. Did it matter? No. So
That's why you don't have choices. If it doesn't matter, it's not a choice. Only
Which is
Mass
why the movie
Effect
would
2.
work.
Mass Effect 2 had choices. Because you could just
Right.
flat out lose the game. Like, you
Oh,
could
yeah.
make enough wrong choices that you cannot win the game. So Mass Effect 2 is brilliant. I love Mass Effect 2
Right.
because you have choices.
That's
You do
everyone's
not have
fan
choices
favorite,
in
too.
the other ones.
Mass Effect 2 is like known to be the fan favorite because of the way that it's perfect, this, and that. But to me, I'm the kind of I value introduction and I value ending, and then the middle is, you know, as long as it's all right and you give me something satisfying and you do something to me that, like, you know, constantly reminds me of a story that I'm interested in, I love it. So Mass Effect 3's ending would it just be like, I would love to see that perspective in a movie. I would love to see what they could do differently. And I mean, I know, yeah, you would have to, obviously, any video game movie, you have to lose aspects of the game when you put it into a movie. But that's one I think would work too, because everyone, the fan base for Shepard is still there. Everyone loves Shepard, or, you know, Liara and all these characters. Like, you know, they are benchmarks to this series, and I think that would work amazing too. So I just got all sorts of excited thinking about CG, like super CGI Reapers coming down, destroying London, and I was just like, yes, absolutely.
I feel like more movies need to take after James Bond. Don't do
okay.
new origins. Don't try to explain different actors. Just have different ones.
Just do it.
Yeah, I mean that's what Batman was doing for a while before they had the reboot. But they've continued Batman as a character and they haven't rebooted him yet. And I'm fine with that. Like, I don't need, if it's a new actor, I don't need you to re-explain background and stuff to me. Like, people know Batman. Like,
If I
Like,
have to
no one
hear
sees a
one
Bond
more time
movie-
of his origin, I'm gonna be the one who shot his parents. Like, oh
Like-
my god.
and like, there's been the arguments where, like, oh, the new generation needs to learn. It's like, the new generation doesn't fucking know anything about the childhood of Bond.
Yeah.
Like no one cares.
Casino
Sure.
Royale was the only one that like even gave like a remote introduction
Skyfall.
to his character.
Yeah, it was like, oh hey, he did actually exist prepubescent. You're like, ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now continue.
Yeah,
Like,
if you're going to do something like a Bond character where essentially you are being withheld information, but that information is kind of vital to something, it's a hard thing to kind of balance, because it's like when you meet a character, you kind of want to know these things, like maybe not what's your favorite color, but like where did you grow up, how are your parents like, what did they do for work, what did you do for work, how did you become who you are. And when you take Bond and you're just like, this is the character that is that's him, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And then I think that's why Skyfall was such a huge, amazing movie, because it was like you blended in two amazing stories. It was the big bad and then Bond's past coming together and kind of doing the wave together. And it was like you were weaving in both of those things. During the movie you're seeing how he was reacting to this, but for the first time it was emotional. It was something different from Bond than we've seen, than like, hey baby, you have nice hair, meet you in my bed. It was like, oh my god, this is where he grew up, this is where he hid from this is he was isolated. Like, it just, things made sense.
you know the iconic scene where they flip it, where Daniel Craig comes out of the beach wearing like his thing and does like the dramatic Bond girl walk. That was an accident, because he was supposed to swim, but he hit a sandbar, so he couldn't swim. So he thought they were just going to finish this filming, so he just got up and walked towards the camera. But they just loved it so much, like he was like, "Well, I can't swim, so I guess I'll climb the sandbar and just walk towards the cameras, and we'll reshoot." And they're like, "Perfect."
They're like, "Got it." Because there's almost like it's like exact to like Halle Berry's like walk out of the beach.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, it wasn't him acting like that walk. He just hit a sandbar, so he just got up and walked towards the camera, figuring we're gonna have to reshoot. Like,
that's so funny. I would say, because I now this is going toward my argument here, because I think I watched Skyfall. I'm pretty sure I did. And it's super forgettable. So I would actually argue that the origin of Bond is a detriment. Like, oh, really? I'm like, I don't care about this Bond and the, like, I'm like, I just want this, like, action-packed, sleuthy, spy Englishman who just kills a bunch of people. Like, that's why Casino Royale is actually my favorite. And I
Casino Royale is my favorite. I still like the other ones. I remember them, but Casino Royale is my favorite.
Yeah, because is Skyfall the one where they home alone the bad guys?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't like that one.
They came on with the helicopter and they were in the house.
It took my brain a second to follow that logic. It's perfect logic. It actually does make sense. My brain wasn't ready for it.
I want you to know I hate you for that, but it's so accurate that I'm going to start using that from now on.
Like,
yeah, they home alone the bad guys.
Like, they home alone the bad guy. My brain went, they went on vacation without them? Like, that was my thought. That was my immediate thought. And I was like, I'm off track somewhere. And then I was like, oh, house traps, I'm on board. But like, my brain was just not ready.
And he went to a beach afterwards. But
I can't believe they just forgot him.
They did. They were like, bye, Bond, you're dead. It's the whole movie's Home Alone.
That was dude, that was such a great, holy, you blew my freaking mind with that. Wait a minute, he did, here I was all like, this is my boy, this is him at home, this is him doing his thing, he knows this place better than anybody else. It's Home Alone.
It's absolutely Home Alone.
So now we know the true backstory of Bond. He's Kevin
McAllister.
Oh my god.
the British accent's fake.
It's all a fake.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And
I mean,
he's even blonde.
Yeah,
yep.
see, it works.
Dude, that's
and that's why he likes M so much. It's like a mother figure. No.
Oh yeah, well, all right. Metaphysical, psychological levels coming in. Welcome to Metaphysical's Most Wanted. How you doing?
So I've actually seen that movie twice, and I still am like, I forget about like which one exactly it is.
Right. I think Casino Royale was like a really good
the first one,
game.
The family goes on vacation, he stays home. The second one, he's accidentally in New York City.
Yeah. He gets like on the wrong plane or something.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Lost in
something
New York.
Forgettable.
The streets are numbered. You can't get lost in New York.
Guest starring Donald Trump.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's in there.
It's true. Dude,
but it is. Guys, it's been fun. It's time to wrap up though.
We just straight an hour of like
yeah, that was great. Organic conversation.
It's gotten to the point where
I'd like to point out to chat, we're wrapping up because we've reached the 1 hour limit, not because Trump was suddenly brought up.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
right, we're
actually,
done.
it's a little of both. We need to. Whoa, Donald Trump, wrap it up.
Just
Wrap
the
it up.
timing of that was too perfect. It was just like,
No, but yeah, the podcast only goes for about an hour unless something crazy happens and I
Cool.
just completely lose track
Like
of
a
time.
cat
So-
on the screen.
You know what
Like
else
the
is
cat.
crazy? It's Platinum Trophy Wife's
Yeah.
birthday today.
Hey,
so if we can go ahead
happy
and spam the crap out of
birthday
her real quick.
she's leaving us because she wants to go spend time with friends and family.
Oh, ooh.
I don't know what's
Yeah.
wrong
Wow.
with me. All of my
What a-
friends are here.
What a lovely
People in her
human being. How dare
people in
you?
her life love her, so like she's not good enough for us.
That's me, Cat.
She's too good for us. We're not good enough.
Yeah, we all my Fat Mike Tizzle in the chat, Michael and I went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter yesterday and it was awesome. We had
Was it
lunch at the
magical?
Dream. It was so magical. I can't even tell you how magical that place is. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you need
Wames,
to
don't
get
ask
your
that
ass
question. We'll be going on for another
to
hour.
Wizarding World of Harry
Yeah,
Potter.
just like
doesn't
just
matter if it's Florida,
let me,
doesn't matter if it's California, although the Florida's better.
got a relatable shirt on. I don't know if you could really
No,
tell what it is.
Oh, is it
well,
the
well, you're
Hogwarts
talking
symbol?
about Harry
I
Potter.
like how there's words across the top, and you're showing
backwards.
everything but the words. Like you can't tell what it is. Oh yeah, let me show you the writing.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
Hogwarts. It was
Agwas,
the
dude. What the
thing.
heck is
Yeah,
Agwas? What's going on?
Agua.
Welcome
In actuality,
to Pig
streamer
Spots.
strips live on stream. He just like raises his shirt and just like we're banned.
Oh my gosh.
Your
What
channel's
up, Grey
been
Wolves Gaming?
temporarily
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Wolves. The best co-host I've ever had besides the cat.
The cat was amazing.
The cat was pretty
was.
good.
That was
Wames,
a good idea.
if you want to shout out your charity stream again, tell people where to find you.
Yes. Twitch.tv/Wames_, doing a charity stream, St. Jude. Play live, going from now all the way to freaking the 25th of May. And May 25th, 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time, big charity stream. Be there for the kids. Freaking, there's pickle juice. I drank some and it tastes like ass. So be there. Okay?
Should be your tagline.
How much
Honestly,
ass
Tastes
have you?
like ass.
How much
It does.
ass have you had?
I more than enough. Just say
Copious
that.
amounts. And if you want to slide it over the next 30 minutes, we'll be Valhalla's After Dark. Thank you very much.
Richie?
Oh boy. Hi, I'm RicheyPlays. Welcome to Jackass. Thank you for coming on. That's all.
All right, and then let me get Grey Wolves Gaming, since he does have some underscores in there. Do not forget the underscores, guys. This font is
Yeah, do
terrible.
it,
I
do
should
it.
change it at some point. So go follow Grey Wolves Gaming as well. And I am Platinum Trophy Wife. I stream and make art and am a wife. So there you go. And I'm becoming a Kingdom Hearts streamer now. This is happening.
Mhm.
I saw you finally
Well,
playing the third one.
you've got
Miss,
18
after all this
games
time,
to
I'm
play, so-
I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I don't care. Then you're like, must play.
I was actually gonna bring that up earlier when you were like, I don't care about Avatar now that it's been 10 years, and I was like, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, no.
I think
I've
it's
seen
funny
you
how-
playing. I've seen. I want to bring clips of like other podcasts where you've mentioned having no interest.
I was not interested, and it was like, you're wrong, and I went, all right, I will
Fine,
admit
you've
it.
got, like,
I will
8
absolutely
games
admit
to
it. I
play
was
now,
wrong.
so you're good.
And now I'm wearing an Organization 13 shirt,
Wow, and you went bad.
and I went full dark side.
Oh boy.
Mm.
But yes, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you all coming here for my birthday. I know you were here just to celebrate my day. So I
Oh.
really do appreciate it. And until next time, in 2 weeks, so like June 3rd or something, we will see you all later. Bye.
Bye.